Hello everyone, welcome to IELTS Speed Up course offered by Thompson School. In today's lesson, we are going to focus on IELTS speaking interview guys, and first I'm going to start from explaining the level of complexity of each part. As you already know, we have three different parts: part 1, part 2, and part 3. So part 1 is the easiest part, where the examiner will ask questions about your personal life, personal experience. For example, what is your favorite color, what do you like to do in your free time, and etc. So it is really important that IELTS candidate speaks with confidence and uses very good vocabulary, high level vocabulary. Instead of repeating one word again and again, it is highly recommended to paraphrase your sentences. So instead of saying I like this, I like that, it is better if you vary your language. So from time to time you can say I enjoy, I adore. And of course, part 2 is going to be more complicated, and it is individual long term. So the main problem with part 2 is the IELTS candidates usually struggle and fail to talk about one topic for 2 minutes non-stop. So it is very good idea if you start from prehistory, and of course you describe a setting where it's all going to happen. So for example, describe your favorite wedding ceremony you've been to. So you should talk about the wedding ceremony that you have participated in, and of course you should start from a prehistory. For example, whose wedding is that, how it all started, and so on. So part 3, these are the questions related to the topic that you have talked in part 2. Yes, if you've been talking about wedding ceremony, in part 3 the examiner will continue asking questions about the wedding, their importance in your nationality, your country, and of course it is really important that you analyze part 3 questions in a more detailed way, because part 3 questions are considered to be more complex and require a deeper analysis. Okay guys, now let's talk about the difference between part 1 and part 3 questions. Yes, the examiner may ask you the same question, technically the same question, in part 1 and part 3, but you should have completely different approach, because part 3 questions require deeper analysis, as I told you before. So let's imagine the examiner may ask you the question, is it good to have many friends or few, in part 1, and you should be just talking about the positives or negatives of having bigger or smaller circle. For example, you may say it is really nice if you have many friends, because you will have someone to address anytime you want. But if you have smaller circle, you will be limiting yourself. But in part 3, you will be asked the same question in a different way. Okay, what are the benefits of having many friends or few friends? So here you should be counting the benefits and naming each advantage. Okay, so having many friends is very advantageous, especially for your future. You may have very close friends in all walks of your life. So some of your friends might be helpful for your future work, and of course it is always better and more comfortable to be among many people that you know. And of course, you can talk about smaller circles, so it's really nice if you have some close friends you can share your secrets with and so on. But keep in mind, you should be more specific. So my answers were too general. First of all, you can say that few friends is always better because you know that you can rely on their help, and of course from time to time you will be able to hang out with them. But if you have many friends, it is really difficult to keep your circle united, and you will not be able to spend as much time as you want with them. So one of your friends may ask you out while the other one invited you to the party, and this is the moment where you have to choose between two friends, and this situation might be awkward. And of course you should be talking about 2 or 3 benefits at least. Let's consider one of the most common part 2 questions here. Describe a major decision you have taken in your life. You should say what the decision was, what other choices were available to you, why you made the decision you did, and explain if you think the decision was a good one. So this is actually a very tricky question because, as many part 2 questions, this question is based on your experience in the past, but it has very slight transaction to the present. Explain if you think the decision was a good one. So the reflection of your decision is going to be your present. So based on your life today, you should talk about the decision you've made long time ago or few years ago. Most of the time, IELTS candidates talk about their universities. So they had many options. They were accepted to, let's say, 3 or 4 universities, but they decided to study at one of them, and of course they'll start listing these reasons. Why? Because it was very good university with very good reputation, and of course I really liked the status of my university, social life, and so on. But when it comes to the decision, they can talk about how easy it was to get a job. Or, for example, let's say IELTS candidates may talk about the choice of a language they actually wanted to learn. So, few years ago, they had to choose between English and German because they wanted to study in Germany because of their cousin who encouraged them, but then they decided to study English, and that's the reason why they are in this exam. They decided to study in USA, and this continue listing the reasons. Okay, let's consider a completely different answer here. A really important decision I've made recently is to study abroad, which is the reason I'm here talking to you now. No one from my family has ever had the chance to study abroad before. My parents were actually hoping I'd start working for our family textile business as soon as I graduate. I think it is too soon to join the family business though. I really want to study marketing, especially fashion marketing and English, so I can sell our company products to buyers all over the world. If I study fashion marketing in the UK, I can learn how to do business in the fashion industry, which is of course very competitive and fast moving. As for whether it was the right decision, I'm pretty confident it was, and I can't change my mind now anyway because I borrowed money from my parents to pay for my tuition. I'm going to do my best to finish my course, and I'll go back to my country with new ideas that will help expand our business. All I need now is to get a good score in IELTS. So anyway, that's an important decision in my life. As you can see, the candidate is talking about options. So he could go and study abroad or start working in a family textile business. So the reason why he decided to study was it was too soon to join the family business, and of course another reason was he is hoping to expand his family business, and that's the reason why he wants to study marketing. And of course he wants to study marketing in the UK because market in the UK is fast moving and competitive. So here, as you can see, the answer is very nice, but I would recommend to add some more higher level words. So in order to make this answer better and of course increase the probability of receiving higher score, I would change it. For example, in this part, when the candidate is talking about why he decided to study, so I can sell our company products to buyers all over the world, you can change this part, and of course you can say I want to bring my family business to an international level and start exporting our products to many countries around the world. So you're using higher level vocabulary, you're talking about expert and so on. And of course, when it comes to the reflection of the decision, whether it was the right decision or not, I'm pretty confident it was. But you should expand on this part, so you should explain why. You can say, I'm pretty confident it was because I've been talking to many successful people in this field and they said it was a brilliant idea to study in the UK. And of course, with good marketing skills, you can have better chances to achieve success in this field, for example. And of course, then continue talking, and you can say, and moreover, I don't have any backup plan and I already borrowed money from my parents to pay for my tuition. So you're talking about backup plan, showing that you know English, and this is the word that is used by native speakers very commonly. So let's look at the reasons why these IELTS candidates scores highly. First of all, getting straight to the point and saying what the decision was in the very first sentence. And of course, paraphrasing the topic, a really important decision, instead of using the words that are used in the question, repeating the structure of the question. So a really important decision. So you're showing the examiner that you have very good paraphrasing skills. It means you have wider options of vocabulary. Using a range of tenses, past simple, present simple, and present perfect, and of course with great accuracy. This matters more. Using a wide range of grammatical forms such as conditional sentence, if I, and a cleft sentence, all I need now is, and of course signaling parts of the question as for whether it was the right decision, and avoiding over formality and using expressions such as actually and pretty that are appropriate to conversational style. Providing a summarizing sentence to wrap up the response is very important because you might be talking, but if you don't sum up all your ideas, it's not going to end well for you. So, first of all, it is always recommended to use a slightly different language in your speaking, but avoid using slang, of course. So, written language and spoken language is completely different. Even when you're delivering a formal speech, you will have to use some words that are more conversational. So these words actually and pretty are well suited in this answer. The following sample part 2 and part 3 questions. So in part 2 you are asked to describe an item or furniture, either modern or traditional. You should say what material it is made of, what style it is, modern or traditional, who bought it or who chose to buy it, and explain why this piece of furniture was bought, or explain how this piece of furniture is used. So here you can talk about, let's say, bookcase, because you had a lot of books in your house and your mother decided to make a library, to create own library, and of course she's really interested in retro design, and of course she wanted this library to look like a museum. And suddenly she saw an announcement about old bookcase and then expand on this idea. Then you can also add some issues and problems that you had. For example, it was really difficult to adjust this bookcase because it was old and we had to be very careful. Or maybe the seller was from different city and it was really difficult to bring it to your country, to your city, and so on. Now you should understand that in part 3 you will be asked questions related to the topics that you had in part 2. Here you talked about furniture in part 2, and in part 3 the examiner will continue asking questions about furniture. But these questions are going to be more general, and at the same time you should be analyzing these questions in a more detailed way. For example, when do people in your country buy furniture? Here you have several options. You can say when people are moving from one house to another, their furniture doesn't fit interior design and they have to buy a new furniture. Or you can talk about general consumption rules. When their old furniture is broken and cannot be fixed, they opt for buying a new furniture. Okay, how do people decide what furniture to buy for the home or office? What factors do they consider? Okay, here you can talk about interior design, or you can talk about comfort, or let's say the general hospitality of people in your country. Okay, they always try to choose something bigger that can fit many people, because people in your country always love to share their happiness with their friends and families, and they organize parties very often. And for example, it is really important to have a big table where they can organize family dinner parties, and of course these tables should be perfect to fit in 15 or 20 people at the same time. Or you can say that now it is becoming more and more popular to use the services of designers. And of course, after analyzing the design, interior design of a house or an office, they recommend to buy certain furniture. Okay? In families in your country, who usually decides what furniture to buy for the home? You can say, most of the time, I think females are responsible for buying new furniture. So technically not buying it, but choosing it, because in my country people believe that females should have better sense of fashion and design, and of course you can continue about it. Do people in your country prefer traditional or modern styles of furniture? You can say this is very difficult question, because people in your country, families in your country are different, and most of the time they go for traditional furniture, But now the number of families trying to buy a modern furniture is increasing, and of course you can add certain details to your answer. Okay guys, I hope the overall idea of IELTS speaking interview was clear to you, and of course you will have to send your sample answers to the Telegram group, and we'll check your answer and you will receive a feedback. So in the next lesson I'm going to simulate the real interview and answer part 1, part 2, part 3 questions, and of course this is going to be very helpful for you so you can imitate, copy some ideas, and of course I hope you will start using them in your answers. Thank you for your attention. See you next time.